Let's get right into it. Number 6. The messy room IQ test. What your chaos says about your brain. You know that voice? The one that says a messy room means a messy mind. We've all heard it, probably from our parents standing in the doorway, looking at that pile of clothes that's basically a permanent resident on the chair. But what if I told you that mess isn't a sign of laziness? What if it's actually a clue that your brain is operating on a whole different level? Let's look at the science. Researchers at the University of Minnesota conducted a really cool study. They put one group of people in a super tidy room, and another group in a room that was, well, a complete mess. When both groups were asked to come up with new creative ideas, the results were shocking. The people in the messy room consistently came up with more interesting and more creative ideas than the people in the tidy room. So why is that? It turns out a messy environment breaks our brain from its usual rigid way of thinking. When you're surrounded by a bit of chaos, your brain is encouraged to make new, unexpected connections. It's not that your mind is disorganized. It's that your brain is too busy focusing on bigger ideas to worry about perfect neatness. Think about some of the most brilliant people in history. Albert Einstein's desk was famously cluttered. So were Mark Twain's and Steve Jobs's. In fact, Einstein famously said, "If a cluttered desk is a sign of a cluttered mind, of what, then, is an empty desk a sign?" So, the next time someone tells you to clean up, just tell them you're not being messy. You're cultivating your genius. Your brain is just busy with what really matters. Number 5. A dark sense of humor reveals a quick wit. Have you ever let out a laugh at a really dark joke, only to see everyone else in the room looking at you like you've got 3 heads? You know, the kind of joke that makes you think, I'm probably going to hell for laughing at this. Well, what if I told you that your ticket to the underworld might actually be a sign that you have a big, beautiful brain? It sounds weird, but science is starting to back this up. A fascinating study from 2017 looked into this very thing. Researchers gathered a group of people and had them rate a bunch of dark humor cartoons from a German artist named Uli Stein. His stuff is famously morbid. Think of a cartoon where a morgue worker answers the phone, and a voice on the other end asks what their husband's last words were. The worker replies, "He didn't have any," and the caller says, "Oh, then could you please ask him now?" After rating the jokes, the participants took IQ tests and answered questions about their mood and aggression levels. The results were pretty surprising. The people who got and enjoyed the dark jokes the most consistently scored the highest on both verbal and nonverbal intelligence tests. Not only that, but they also turned out to be less aggressive and more emotionally stable than the folks who were turned off by the humor. So, what's going on here? The researchers believe it takes some serious brain power to process dark humor. Your brain has to do a few things at once. First, it has to understand the literal situation in the joke. Then, it has to juggle that with the dark, unexpected twist. It's like a little mental workout. You have to detach emotionally from the dark subject matter just enough to see the clever, playful side of it. Essentially, your brain is doing a complex dance. It's processing multiple layers of meaning and controlling its emotional response at the same time. People who can't do this either get offended or just don't find it funny. So, the next time you find yourself laughing at something a little twisted, don't feel too bad. It might just be your genius showing. Number 4. Anxiety and overthinking can signal a deeper understanding. Ever find yourself wide awake at 3 a.m., replaying a conversation from hours ago and thinking, "Why did I say that?" Or maybe you spend way too much time worrying about a dozen different ways a future event could go wrong. It feels exhausting, and people might even tell you to just stop overthinking. But what if that busy, worrying brain of yours is actually a sign of something pretty incredible? Believe it or not, there's a surprising scientific link between anxiety and high intelligence. A study from SUNY Downstate Medical Center in New York found that people with generalized anxiety disorder tended to have higher IQ scores than people with milder anxiety. So, why would that be? Well, scientists think it might be an evolutionary superpower. They call it sentinel intelligence. Think back to our early ancestors. The ones who just chilled out and didn't worry about that strange rustle in the bushes. Well, they probably became a lion's lunch. The worriers, the overthinkers who considered every possible danger, were the ones who survived and passed on their genes. In our modern world, that same mental wiring makes you exceptional at imagining future scenarios. Your brain is like a supercomputer, running countless simulations of what could happen. This takes serious cognitive horsepower. Now, this doesn't mean severe anxiety is something to celebrate. If it's overwhelming your life, please seek help. But that everyday tendency to analyze things deeply, that might just be your brilliant mind, hard at work, thinking several steps ahead of everyone else. Number 3. Strategic laziness is a mark of efficiency. Have you ever been called lazy because you found a quicker, easier way to get a job done? You know, while everyone else is following the instructions step by step, you've already figured out a shortcut that gets the same result in half the time. It might feel like you're just cutting corners. But what if it's actually your genius brain at work? There's this fantastic quote from Bill Gates, where he says he'd always choose a lazy person to do a difficult job. And why would he do that? Because a lazy person will find an easy way to do it. This isn't about being a couch potato and avoiding work altogether. This is about something called strategic laziness. Your brain is naturally wired to save energy. It's an incredibly efficient machine. So when you're faced with a complex task, an intelligent brain doesn't just jump into the hard work. It first looks for the simplest, most direct path to the solution. It's about working smarter, not harder. A 2015 study even found that people who enjoy thinking a lot tend to be less physically active. They're perfectly happy sitting still, lost in thought, probably figuring out how to automate their chores. This laziness is actually a sign of a highly efficient mind that prioritizes results over pointless effort. It takes real insight and creativity to see a complicated process and think, wait, there has to be a better way. So the next time someone calls you lazy for finding a shortcut, just smile. You're not lazy, you're just operating on a level of genius efficiency. Number 2, talking to yourself is a sign of a sophisticated mind. Ever catch yourself narrating your life like a bad audiobook while hunting for your keys? Or maybe you talk yourself through a tough problem step by step right out loud. It might feel a little weird, but it turns out you're not going crazy. You're actually using a high-level cognitive tool. That voice in your head, or even the one that slips out, isn't just random noise. It's like having your own built-in high-performance coach. When you talk yourself through something, you're activating your brain's own tutorial system. Psychologists have found that this habit can seriously boost your brain power. In one study, people were told to find a specific item, like a banana, in a picture of a supermarket. The people who said the word banana out loud found it way faster than those who kept quiet. By verbalizing your thoughts, you're forcing your brain to slow down, organize the chaos, and focus. You're clarifying your own thought process, which helps you solve problems more effectively and even regulate your emotions. So instead of thinking of it as a weird quirk, see it for what it is, a sophisticated feature of a highly intelligent mind. Number 1, pattern recognition is your brain's superpower. You know how you can spot your best friend in a huge crowd just by the way they walk? Or how you can hear just a couple of notes from a song and instantly know which one it is? That's not some kind of magic. That's your brain's ultimate superpower in action. Scientists call this pattern recognition, and it's a huge sign of intelligence. Think of your brain as this amazing detective. Every single second, it's taking in tons of information, sorting through all the noise, and looking for connections to make sense of the world. This is how you can understand someone with a heavy accent. Your brain fills in the gaps based on language patterns it's learned before. It's also how you solve a new problem by realizing it's a lot like one you've already handled. Even that gut feeling you get that turns out to be right, that's usually your brain noticing a subtle pattern that you didn't even pick up on consciously. Leonardo da Vinci said that to see a pattern is to gain insight. It's the ability to see beyond the surface and find the hidden connections. So if you're always connecting random ideas, that's your pattern recognition working overtime.